I thought I would talk about my actual what do I think is going to happen from this game, because I think it's important for people to know that, and I think it's important for me to talk that out loud, because it can be hard for people to understand. But what do I actually think is going to happen from this game? And I'm basing this off of my experience in the film industry. So when I released my very first movie, it actually, for what it was, it did really well. It was our first time movie. There was no stars. We had no experience. We didn't go to film school. We just did it. And we managed to have two sold out shows at a local theater. We spent 40 grand making the movie, split in half between me and my business partner, Danny Mack. And that was over a period of 2 years 2 years. And then we sold it to Super Channel, and that played across Canada for 18 months. And we made, I think, like 30 something grand from that. So overall, because we got 10, like we made like, I don't know, 10, 11, 12,000 from our theater screenings. So overall, we actually made all of our money back, and then a couple thousand, maybe like 1,000 each or something like that for profit. But that's very unheard of in the film industry. It's extremely rare that you ever even break even on your first movie. You usually lose a lot. So producers are very pleased with us whenever they met with us. They thought it was very impressive, and so that's what helped us be able to make more movies, because they were like, "Wow, you guys did good on your first one." But even though we had such success, like both financially and even getting eyeballs on it, nothing really happened. No one knew who we were. Like, again, I've told this story before in the past, but if you had told me when I was a kid that I would be in a movie that's playing on Super Channel being broadcast across the entire country, I would have thought that, I'm famous then. I'm a famous actor. I'm a famous guy, a famous person. But no one knows who I am, even to this day. And I've had several movies now, and some even gone to theaters and stuff too. So, and I'm not saying that's my goal is not to become famous, but I've just thought that's a natural byproduct of what I do, right? But all the first movie, all that did was, it did open some doors, but nothing really happened. And so with this first game, again, I never went to school. It's again very similar to my first movie, just a ragtag group of people doing what we can, releasing a product. It's our first video game. I don't see it doing too well, and I'm definitely not going to make any money back. It's going to be my biggest failure, probably easily. Financially, it's going to be a huge bomb in terms of financials. Unless a rare miracle, which could happen, but it's rare. Unless it blows up randomly, then it's probably going to be a very financially bad product. Just because we've spent so much over the last 12 years on this game, that it's almost impossible to recoup what we've put into it. Again, unless it blew up, but that's always possible. I'm trying to keep a realistic, like, stay in reality, stay with what I know. And I can kind of you can use online tools that kind of guess this kind of stuff too. So someone actually made it's called a Steam wishlists to sales calculator. With the Burkett ratio, we can use a Steam's game's pre-launch wishlist number to estimate the number of sales it will make its first week. By using this and other survey data points from Game Discovery Co., we can estimate year 1, year 3, and lifetime sales and revenue. So obviously it's not perfect, but a lot of people have used this tool and they say it's pretty, like, eerily close to what their game made. And you can even go back in time and test it with other games, and it's pretty spot on. Now the rule of thumb, just to give you some idea here, the rule of thumb is that you're not supposed to release your video game on Steam unless you have 10,000 wish lists. I've had my game on Steam for 2 or 3 years now, and I only have 611 wish lists. So I'm nowhere close to 10,000. So that's terrible. So even based on that, people would say don't release the game, like don't do it. But I don't think I'll ever get to 10,000. That's impossible. Like my game is just not. I haven't been able to find the niche. I can't find the people who are going to like the game. I can't seem to find. When you promote the game online, you're just shouting into a dark room. When you say, "Hey, everyone on Twitter, look at my game," like no one sees it. Like no one sees the tweet. You're just shouting into an empty void because there's just too many people. There's too many games, too much noise. So I only have 611 wish lists as of now. So that's not good. I think we're going to release the game for $24.99 USD. Probably around there, and then using their kind of average things. I mean, they don't have a category for platformers, though platformers typically perform very poorly. So even these numbers are probably going to be a little higher than they should be because I'm just using an average calculator. So if I click calculate, according to this thing, my day one sales will be 30 copies of the game on the first day. I think that's, I don't know, might even be too high. Day one gross revenue would be $763.44. Week one sales would be 488 copies. That would mean the week one gross revenue would be $12,000.215. Keep in mind, there's taxes and refunds, which they do account for, which would be minus $4,886. I think that includes the 30% cut that Steam takes as well, I think, which means the week one net revenue would be $7,329. They estimate that year one sales would be 1,466 copies, which would work out to a net revenue of $21,000. And if you go all the way down, you can get to the year three. So year three, after 3 years of being on Steam, they think we would make $40,310. And then the lifetime net revenue would be about $55,000. So nowhere near recouping our costs of the game. But that's so financially, no, not good. And again, that would be the net revenue, 54,000. And then that's not even, I don't get that money. That's still, I have to share it with all the people that made the game, all the contracts, stuff like that. So I won't be making money off this game if this calculator is correct. So yeah, on the first day, 30 copies. And I think that might be high, to be honest. I don't know. Could be high, could be low, who knows? But I think this is pretty accurate, especially considering I don't have 10,000 wish lists. I only have 611 on Steam. Now, of course, with the Steam Next Festival, I will get more wish lists during that time. So my number will go up slightly, which is good. But nowhere near the amount that I need. Unless, again, there's always the chance. That's the cool thing I like about video games more than movies, is that with movies, it's kind of a one and done. Like, it's very rare that you'll hit a pocket later on. I do think Heel Kick has has a chance that if it were up for sale somewhere and one of us, like Dan or me or someone in the movie, got famous, I think people could go back and seek that movie out, and there could be a time in the future where Heel Kick does generate some money, but it's a very rare scenario with movies. Usually it's kind of one and done. You get a streaming service, you get paid, and then it's kind of over. Games are cool because they just live forever and they're there for people, and like a game can catch on. It's still rare, but it's still possible. Like you can still realistically make some money kind of forever, and there could be an uptick. Again, if I blew up later on in life, with another game or another movie, people might seek out Billy, and there could be a huge uptick in Billy sales. But that's the cool thing about video games, that you never know. There is kind of a lottery ticket in a way. There could be a rare scenario where a lot of people suddenly see this game and they want to buy it. But my game is the thing that people have to understand is that Billy Saves the World's there's a few things against it. One is platformers, and like 2D platformers and puzzle games are they are statistically the worst performing games and the worst games you can try to make if you want to make money. So I've chosen the two worst genres to combine, which is adventure games and platformers. Those are literally statistically the worst performing, most difficult to make money genres it can be. And not only do I have one of them, I have both of the worst ones combined. So that's going against it. The other thing going against it is the visual style was a choice of mine. It's not very popular on Steam. People on Steam tend to like darker, like muddy grays, browns, more serious, like the Souls-like art style. They don't like colorful, cartoony stuff. It is also our first game, so it doesn't look... from what I can get from people, it doesn't look that professional. It looks like a Unity game. I personally like the look of the game. When I'm playing it, there's moments when, especially now, like I've been able to stream the game to my TV. So I've played it on my PC, I played it on my TV, and I played it on my handheld. And there's times where I'm like, man, I personally think this game looks awesome. Like I think it looks beautiful. But I guess I must be in the minority. A lot of people just don't. And there's not a ton of detail in my game, but I think it looks great. The atmosphere is very cozy and I like the lighting and yeah, I don't know. I like the look of it, but that is another thing against it. And just in general, it being our first game, there's going to be a lot of, amateur moves in it. And, I don't think that there's a really strong mechanical hook to the game as well. Like there's not like I recently played Pepper Grinder, and like that's something people have never done before, really. That's like, oh, cool, you're drilling through the world and blah blah blah. Like, there's no quick and easy sentence I can say like, oh, you got to play this because of this. My game has to be played by people. I think for people to really fully grasp it, which is bad for marketing. It's hard to position and talk about my game in a quick and snappy way, which is again a bad marketing rule. If you can't talk about your game really quickly, it's really hard to market it. And my game is very hard to talk about in a quick and snappy way that makes people go like, oh, I want to play that. So there's lots of factors going against my game. And because of that, it's hard for me to find the people that would want to play it. It's also done like that by design. I am probably a very rare person who grew up loving both platformers and point-and-click adventure games. And so my idea was to combine those two things, but I don't think there's that many point-and-click adventure game people who love platformers. And there's not a lot of platforming people who love point-and-click adventure games. And so finding people like that is very hard for me to market towards. I'm like, hey, everybody who likes those two genres, like there's not that many people. So those are some of the factors as to why I don't think the game is going to perform that well. Now, this is all, I'm talking business and financials right now. So from a business and financial aspect, the odds are against me, and the odds are that it's not going to make that much money, and it's not going to perform that well. And we won't sell that many copies. Now, from a personal standpoint, the game's a huge success. It already is. It's exactly kind of the game I would have wanted to make. My only goal with this was to make a video game. My goal in life was like, oh, I want to make a video game. So just from releasing it, even if it sells 0 copies on a personal level, it's a huge success. It's a huge thing. And making a video game is so hard. So from a personal standpoint, I've done it. I've done what I set out to do. Selling copies is a bonus. Now, the bad part of that is that it'll be way more difficult for me to convince someone to help me, fund another game, because they're going to be like, oh, your first one didn't do too well. So will I get to make a second game? I don't know. I would love to, because I've learned so much with my first game, and I have some really good ideas as to how I could make a second game really successful, and I have a lot of really cool mechanics in mind. I got a lot of ideas, so I would love the opportunity to make another game. Will I get to? I don't know. But I will say, so again, kind of getting back to the topic here, my hopes and expectations. Obviously, I hope people, 1 billion people play the game. Will that happen? Probably not. So my expectations are, it's not going to change the world. It's not going to really change my life in any way, at least anytime soon. That's the most likely outcome. but you never know. You never know. So those are my expectations, my hopes, though. Obviously, yeah, it would be cool if people played it. There are times that when I play it myself, even after years and years and years of testing it, I'm like, man, this is cool. Like, there's so much freedom, and I haven't really played a game quite like this. I think the genre is weird and unique. But again, people have to really play it to really get a sense of it and kind of give it a chance. And I do think the storyline is pretty good as well. There's a lot of meaning to it and lots of cool little details, both in the design and the storyline, the dialogue, the secrets, and all the different things you can do. And if you do them in different orders, different things happen. It is. I think it's cool, but again, I made the game like for myself, and so I love it, of course. So it's just the key is that I need to find other people like me, and ideally find thousands of people like me. I just don't know where to look or where to find them. It's hard to stand out. There's more indie games coming out every day than ever before in the history of time. Like every day there's like 10,000 new video games. So as you can imagine, very hard to stand out. You really need a visual style that's striking. You need a mechanic that's snappy and easy to talk about and visual so people get it right away. And that's unfortunately, or not even unfortunately, but that's how it works. And that's what I learned with making movies as well. Like, I'm doing these action movies. They're not things I would typically have wanted to write, but that's what sells. It's like you got to do what the industry wants, and if you do that, you're rewarded for it. And then hopefully over time, you can slowly start making things that you want to make as well that are more personal. But I do think it's important for me to get Billy Saves the World out of my system, because once I've made a game that is very kind of selfishly made of like, okay, this is what I wanted to make, I can now be like, okay, I did it. It's out there. Now I can make something that the industry wants me to make and be a little bit more strategic with that as well. So I'm very I'll be very happy to complete this game, and just completing it. Like I said, I'll be super happy with just getting it out there. And if someone happens to play it, that's all bonus. I will say, it would be pretty disappointing if the small group of people who do play it don't like it. That would be an extra kick. It would be nice if even if 30 people bought it, but they all enjoyed it for the most part. That'd be kind of cool. But it would be terrible for 30 copies to be sold and get 30 negative reviews. That'd be a little disheartening. But even if that happens, whatever, that's life. I'm very thankful that I've been through so much with the film industry that I think it's prepared me for the release of this game a lot better. So I'm ready for what happens. Again, hope for the best, expect what I think we'll expect. Hey, thanks for listening to this clip of my podcast. I publish new episodes on the last Friday of every month at 12:45 p.m. PST for all premium members of my Patreon. My name is Cooper Bebo. I'm an actor, writer, and producer of film, television, and video games. Head to patreon.com/CooperBebo. You can sign up for free, get access to my blog, or you can toss me a few dollars if you want to support me and get special bonuses like this very podcast, or you can subscribe to my YouTube. You'll continue to get free clips and a brand new video every single Wednesday. So whether you like to watch, listen, or read, I've got something for everyone. I've also got a video game called Billy Saves the World. Please check that out on Steam right now. I've got movie projects in the works. I update all of that stuff in Discord all of the time. Again, the basic channels are free to join. Just head to patreon.com/CooperBebo to get access. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next clip.